I want to start going over just some very basic tools that you're probably going to be using on a pretty regular basis. One of them is actually Telnet. You may be familiar with the Telnet server, and everybody says, oh my gosh, don't use Telnet, bad, evil, not good. Primarily because Telnet, the server, or Telnet, the protocol, is really based around plain text transmission. If you are communicating with a server and it's in plain text, that means usernames, passwords, all sorts of data is being transmitted. However, we can actually use Telnet, the client, because Telnet on the client side is really just a program that initiates a TCP connection to a remote system. What we could do, for example, would be to connect to, in this case, Microsoft's web server on port 80 using Telnet. Now that's going to initiate a TCP connection. And what we can then do is interact directly with the protocol that's there. In our case, we're going to be using HTTP because this is a web server after all. And then once I have finished with my communication, my version of the protocol here, or what I'm sending using the protocol, then I can get the response back. So we can do this with pretty much any protocol that you would like. For example, I could say go to smtp.google.com, and that's going to be on port 25. So you can see I'm using Telnet and then the host name and then the port. And as long as I specify the port, what Telnet is going to do is it's going to initiate a TCP connection to that port. If I don't specify the port, it's going to assume port 23, which is the Telnet port. I don't want to do that because A, I don't want to be bugging other systems, certainly. Refer back to our ethics conversation. But also, there's really no Telnet server that's going to be listening at smtp.google.com. So there's really no point in me doing that. So what I've done here is I have sent a message to this particular server at google.com, which is their mail server, and I get a response here saying I talk extended SMTP, and this is mx.google.com. So I could actually initiate a command here. This is using ESMTP. So I've just said hello to the mail server, and then I could continue and create a mail message in this way. I can use Telnet to communicate with basically any host that is running a plain text protocol because Telnet itself doesn't do SSL TLS. There are other ways of doing that. But if you've got something that can do plain text and it's running TCP, you can use the Telnet client to communicate with it. And that's a good way of just doing a quick sanity check sometimes to see whether the port is responding and what the messages that you're getting back look like.